welcome to The Long Shot. It is a podcast. I am your host. My name is Sean Conroy. With me today on the show, the other host of the show, Amber Kent.
Hello.
I emailed Jamie this week to see when he would be back on the show.
Oh, you did?
He did not respond. So either he's not interested or
whirlwind.
Still in a decade has not figured out how to deal with emails. I suspect it's the latter.
There's I don't say this often, and I don't say it about a lot of people because I've been there, but he needs an assistant. You know, like he needs just like, look at this, don't look at this, you know, like a filtration system.
Yeah, or a system that he himself has set up to do that for him.
Right.
You know? But you're absolutely right. Like that's I guess why I'm saying it's been a decade and he still hasn't figured this shit out. That seems crazy. You know?
Right.
This should have been, he should have gotten to it by now.
Right.
Instead of, I'm quite certain, I'm 100% definitely positive that if I ran into him right now on the street and said, why didn't you get back to me on that email? He would go, it's a whirlwind. It's a whirlwind. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's no way to go through life.
Well, also, I mean, you don't have to say it on air, but what email address did you email? Because every time I go to add him to an email,
he has a
I'm
new
like,
email address.
Well, no, there's like 4 that might be active, and I'm not sure actually which is the best. So I include them all, but I don't know if that's like worse or better, or you know what I'm saying.
I sent it to jamie.flom@flimflam.org.gov
AOL
usb.institution. Yeah. At the Improv, by the way.
Sure. He hasn't worked at the Improv in so long. Yeah. It's crazy how many like time periods we've gone through. I don't know.
Well, we're in our 27th year of doing the podcast.
I know. And we look great.
You do. I think I might be starting to lose my hair. I'm not sure.
This is like word for word what we've done already.
Well, there's certain things that bear repeating, you know? Jesus Christ. I just realized something, which is that I don't have my microphone set up.
Oh, well, interesting. We'll see how this works.
We're going to do this one without.
We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. We'll do it live.
I love a reference. I love a universal reference like that.
That's a Bill O'Reilly reference.
Mm-hmm.
Who I just saw on, I don't know what, TikTok or something.
Oh.
Screaming at an airport employee.
Oh, yes.
Just within the last couple of days.
Yes. Trying to get to like Bermuda or something.
Yeah. Still a douchebag after all these years.
Yeah.
Although, you know, I've definitely been there in the airport, but I haven't behaved that way. I have been that frustrated or more so.
And you just swallowed it, baby.
Well, I don't know if I swallowed it, but I didn't scream about it like that until I came on this podcast. Then I screamed about it.
Right. This is your outlet.
Generally speaking.
He just needs a podcast. He probably has one.
I was going to say, you think he doesn't have a... I mean, all of those right-wing grifters have fucking podcasts at this point. Bill Maher. I just heard Bill Maher, speaking of right-wing grifters. Yeah, oh, he's a libertarian. He's totally fucking arch conservative at this point. But I just heard
and has been for some time, like in disguise.
But he had Bob Odenkirk on Friday night, and it was actually fun to listen to the two of them talking about stand-up in the 80s.
Oh, yeah, because they both live wildly different lives from a stand-up comedian now.
Right. Well, Bob was interesting because Bob was saying how he never liked stand-up for a couple of reasons, because he said, well, I think Bill Maher was saying to Bob, like, you just would come out and do your thing. And Bob said, yeah. And like, he goes, stand up is a battle half the time. It's like you against the audience and you have to get them on your side. And he goes, I would come out there and I would say something and the audience wouldn't be into it. And I'd be like, okay.
You're right.
Yeah. Like, I'm not going to fight you.
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
My bad. I'll go.
I wish that I had more of that self-awareness to go, fine, you guys are not my audience and I'm not going to be up here. Because my problem was, that's definitely the same kind of comic I am, which is I ain't for everybody. But I was like, I'm going to force the audience to listen to me, you know? And that doesn't work. But anyway, what was funny about it to me is Bill Maher with his fucking HBO show that I'm sure he's making $1 billion off of. And he goes out once a month and does, you know, a couple of live shows.
Stadium.
Yeah, which I'm sure he makes another $1 billion off of. And he made sure during his
and he's like, people need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps.
Well, but also he made sure to mention during his conversation with Bob, he was like, oh, I also have a podcast now. And it was just like, oh, come on, you know. But also, do we really need more Bill Maher?
We know your opinions. We are very aware.
You know, there's a couple of other, you know, we saw these crazy signs. We had a couple of other signs we found. Do you want to hear about those? No, I don't want to hear about those, Bill.
No.
But anyway.
You digress.
How
are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm good. Great episode. Talk to you next week.
You know, life is up and down. Life is up and down. It's a constant something. I wish I could say what it was.
Too bad you're not a writer.
What is it? It's like, it's always
a roller coaster.
No,
ups and downs is a roller coaster.
Ups and downs is a roller coaster, but it's
or an elevator, depending on how frequent the ups and downs are.
Or it's 2 escalators.
Okay.
You know, one up, one down. But I mean, you know, things change, but they also stay the same. It's a maelstrom.
Whoa.
I talked to a friend of mine from college this morning who was on his way up to my old college.
Alma mater.
My alma mater, where the theater is being shut down. Like, in other words, there was a theater there where we did lots of shows when we were in college, and it is now they've built a new arts complex on campus. So this old theater, what happened was they were going to do one more show this weekend, and then of course everybody caught COVID, so they had to shut the show down.
God!
So they were going to have a reception, and but it's just interesting to think back on the place. And
receptions are
safe,
COVID free.
Yeah.
Like the CDC, I think, said receptions never need to end.
Right.
You can't have parties or shows, but receptions are fine.
Well, also there was a judge in Florida, a 12-year-old judge appointed by Trump, who believes that Hitler is God, who said that receptions need to be freely attended and mask free and
honored.
And also, if you wear a mask at a reception, you're a fucking douchebag who deserves to be slapped.
Anti-American.
Yes. That's the funniest part to me. It's not like, whatever. There's so many different conflicting things about masks, no mask, this, that, whatever. But there is no doubt that wearing a mask has some effect on whether or not you are going to catch or to spread COVID.
Right.
Period. That is
and from what I understand, it's even more so about spreading it. So wearing it, it's funny that it pisses people off because it's just saying hey, I'm trying to keep you safe, bro.
But that's what's funny about it to me is that there are so many people who are now provoking people who are wearing masks and going, it's your fucking problem. You know?
Well, it is funny that it's this is America. There's freedom. And it's like, yeah, and I'm choosing to wear a mask. Like somehow that's not, I don't know. You're only free to behave the way they do.
This was the whole episode of Bill Maher the other night. It's how fucking stupid anybody was for wearing a mask.
Really?
Yep.
Like, and that includes doctors, nurses.
Fucking morons. Morons for wearing masks. Except for Giuliani on Masked Singer. It was good for him to wear a mask. But anyway, it just made me think about like all the shows I did at this theater and how I wish I had known at the time.
What your last show was?
No, but like how, it's funny. I can't even remember what my last show was, but like how good of a theater it was. Like the setup of it was so, because it wasn't built as a theater. It was like part of a dormitory actually that they then turned into a theater. So it was pretty steeply raked, and the stage.
But that's good.
Yeah. The stage was a big thrust stage, so there was like a square part with like a round part coming out. And now, having been performing for so many years since,
you're like, oh, it's an ideal.
I love that kind of stage. Yeah, with the audience on three sides, like it just is. For a show like I wish I could have done an ASCAT there, you know. It would have been perfect for that. But of course, who knows if we'll ever do that show again. But anyway, we always like to start the show with a segment that we call with a segment that we call checking in. So why don't we start today with Amber? Amber, what's going on with you?
Sure. Yeah. Just a quick update, because I think the last time we recorded, it was like unclear if Jeff had been exposed to COVID at his office. He tested multiple times. I tested. We've been negative every time. No symptoms. Praise be. So that was good. I just wanted to say that in case anyone was wondering. But that said, like he went to the
thousands of people just turned the podcast off. Like,
they're like, I hope she was sick.
No. They're like, okay, we can go to sleep now, Dave.
Right.
It's fine. We don't have to listen to the rest.
We can stop shaking.
Yeah.
But that said, like it does feel like things are different. In the sense that before, at least in Los Angeles, if you wanted a COVID test, you could almost always get an appointment like same day. Most of the places free. That doesn't exist anymore. And then, so we have these like at-home tests, and Jeff went to get more because he's like, okay, this is going to be a scenario that keeps happening, and we want to have those tests in the house before we think we have it, so we're not going to a store when we think we have COVID. And he had to go to 3 different pharmacies before he even found any tests. And the pharmacy he went to that he found them, I think there was 10 on the shelf, and the guy working there was like, yeah, we used to get like thousands in every week, and he's like, this is it. So it's like, not to be a conspiracy theorist, but it feels like they're stopping tests from being out because it's like, if they don't know they're sick, they're not sick, or I don't know. There's something going on. Don't you think?
I don't even know anymore. Yeah. I mean, is it a supply chain issue? Is it because Biden won't let any ships come in? Is it because Greg Abbott is blocking the border to Mexico? Is it, there aren't enough tests being manufactured because a lot of them come from China? Is it because Fauci is shoving them all up his butt? Like there's a million,
right.
There's a million possibilities for what's gone wrong.
But it's like this weird thing where I guess now there's no support system to help you know if you do or don't have COVID.
Yeah.
But you're also being more frequently asked to do things in public. So it's like, how can I do that responsibly if I can't test first or after? It's weird. We're in a weird.
You just got to do what Bill Maher says. Move on. Move on. Who gives a shit, you know? And no one would have died if they weren't fat, says Bill Maher, you know? So, yeah, I agree. I mean, I have found the whole thing so confusing the whole time. And it has not gotten better.
Mm-hmm. No, it has not.
And I always think about that. And maybe this is just a stupid way to think about it, which is ironic, but I've always thought about it as like, I am a relatively intelligent person with decent faculties and the ability
and reading comprehension,
parse words and see what's going on. There are lots of people who don't necessarily
are lower on that graph than you
have all those skills.
Yeah.
And so if I'm like, I don't know what's going on, and maybe part of it is like, I'm thinking too much. Like I'm taking in too much. Like if I just was like, I only want to hear this piece of information, maybe that would make it easier to figure everything out. But it just feels like it should be easier to figure out what the fuck is going on and what the fuck to do. Now I have another problem, which is I had a whole box of those tests and I put it in the other box I had of pregnancy tests. So I keep testing and I'm either pregnant or I'm positive for COVID, but I'm not sure which. So I'm trying to stay away from
You just shuffled them?
No, they're in the same box. So, you know, I lost the labels.
They have different like there's a different way about getting the results for those two tests.
I just wish there was clear guidance on it.
Well, okay, I will say this, not to freak you out, but one of my coworkers I was talking to, her husband works for the Los Angeles County Public Health Department.
LACMA?
Yes. And so I was like, hey, do you feel like you've got an inside scoop about what's going on? And she like almost too quickly was like, no, it's even more fucking confusing because he'll have meetings with people who like should have the answers and everyone's saying something. And so I don't know. What I'm saying is I don't think you're alone in being confused. And it feels intentional. It feels like a campaign of misinformation, or maybe truly no one knows, but how is that possible?
Yeah, I agree. How is that possible after 2 years?
I always thought that there'd be grown-ups in charge on some level, but it feels like as time goes on, it's like more and more.
Well, the problem
not
is
the case.
We are the grown-ups, you know.
Right.
So the people in charge are people like us.
Pretty stupid.
Yeah.
No, the people who are in charge are like us, but
have podcasts?
No, they might have podcasts truly at this point. But are more ambitious and quicker maybe to cut corners to get what they want. Like that's how they got into power, because they have this desire to be in power.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I thought what you were going to say is they have a desire to cut corners to get to the right answer. In other words, they're like,
they're
this
not
is what
actually
it is.
listening. Yeah.
I know because that.
I mean that's part of it too.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it feels like a lot of the decisions that are being made. And again, I don't think that I'm saying anything new or breaking ground, but a lot of the decisions that are being made are so transparently like, oh, this serves this business and that business probably has an in with this decision maker in politics. And it's not like for the greater good is what I'm saying.
Right.
It's serving very specific people's interests. And that's sad. It makes me sad because I'd like to think people are better than that.
Right. I think that is one of the things that has come to light over the last 2 days. Just kidding. Over the last number of years.
Like, what happened 2 days ago?
No. I mean, like over the last decade or so, or even less than that. But really,
or more.
but I guess maybe somewhere in between more and less than that, or right in the middle,
or maybe exactly that.
But just how deeply self-interested everybody is, and how on their own everybody is, and if you don't have people on your side, you're kind of fucked.
You're in, yeah.
You know? And I think you're right that was always true, but I just feel like we've become, or at least I've become more and more aware of it over the last, however, 2 days.
I think it's like a combination of the actual specific world events and the internet, that it's like you could kind of see between the cracks. Before, I'm sure this is the way the system was always set up, but it was like, this is what we're doing and this is what we're presenting, and people only saw this is what we're presenting, and it's kind of like you take it at face value on some level because there's no other place to get information, and the people, I think a lot can be said about the internet, good and bad, obviously bad, but one good thing that it does is that there are a ton of people who have a voice and can be heard that in the old paradigm would have been voiceless 100% of the time.
You're talking about the bots spewing misinformation.
Yes,
right?
yes. Can't wait to hear. No, but you know what I'm like. There's sides of the story that just like it wouldn't have been part of the narrative ever.
I agree, but I think that's part of the problem. That's obviously part of the problem too. Is that anybody can say anything, and their opinion is just as valid as anybody else's. And so it's this weird thing where, yes, it's good that everybody can be heard, but no, it's horrible that everybody can be heard.
There still needs to be like a moderator on some level. Yeah. But then who's the moderator and who's moderating the moderator?
That was almost the slogan for Watchmen, was who's moderating the moderator. And then they cut that.
There were like too many syllables.
They cut that character and they started saying who's watching the Watchmen. But there's actually a great article in The Atlantic right now about this exact thing. And it's I forget the name of it, but it's something like, why has the last 10 years been so dumb, or something like that. And it's
sounds right up your alley.
Basically, but it is basically about like the effect that the internet has had and the rise of Trumpism, and all of this stuff sort of happening at the same time has made things. I mean, I was thinking about this the other day in two different capacities. It feels like as we make technological progress in the world,
we make consciousness.
That should make life easier. That's the point. Like, hey, I invented this thing, Dave. It's called the wheel. Check it out. It works like this. You know that heavy thing you have to carry from Donna's house to Louise's house? Well, I have this thing that has wheels on the bottom. You put the heavy thing on top of it and you just wheel it.
And we have half our day back.
Everybody's like, holy shit. Technology is making my life better. Now I'm at a point where I'm like, I can't get a person on the phone ever for anything. If I'm trying to talk to somebody about a problem I'm having with a bill or a service or something, it's like, if you want to talk about this, press.
There's always 4 options and none of them are what you want to talk about. You're like,
sorry, I didn't hear that. No, you heard it. You just ignored it because it wasn't part of your programming. So that's one thing that I was thinking about, is that technology has made that part of service much, much worse, much more difficult. Because then you sit there. I mean, I did this the other day. I called, I can't remember what it was, but it was like, hold on. And then I was on hold for an hour and I had to hang up, It's like, what is going on? Like, I pictured it that there was just a bunch of people sitting around the phone watching to see how long I would stay on,
Sure.
But then the other part of that is now at the supermarket and at the drugstore, they want you to go through these electronic checkbook machine things, you know?
Uh-huh. I can't wait for this bit.
Where you where you put the thing through and it goes boop, go ahead, you know.
Uh-huh.
And it's always like put it in the bag, and I'm like, it's one thing, I don't have a bag,
right?
And it's like someone will come and help you, and the light starts flashing, and I'm standing there like a fucking asshole, like waiting for service,
right?
It's like and I swear to God, it happens every time at both of those places.
Right.
There's never a time where I go there and they just go, "Hey, I'm a machine.
Good job.
Congratulations. Enjoy your day." You know?
It must be nice to be a person. I am not one.
Yeah. It's always like, just hang out. Phyllis is coming over to fix. She has 9 other things to get to, but she'll be over in a few minutes. So you can buy your little can of pumpkin sorbet or whatever.
Oh, are we still doing the pumpkin shakes?
No. I decided I can make a different kind of shake. I don't have to go with pumpkin.
Okay.
But anyway, it is strange to me that so what that is, by the way, is it's making life more profitable for corporations instead of
easier for the whole
or humanity.
Right.
Yes. So that is why I am using this episode to announce that I am now incorporating to become a supermarket / drugstore.
Okay, great.
So that I can make a lot of money off those machines. Anyway, that's my checking in. So
wait, no, that was my checking in. All I said was I didn't have COVID, and we talked for like 45 minutes.
All right. So what else is going on?
I'm like hesitant to talk about this, but that means I probably should. But yesterday I witnessed in quotes, because some of it is using deductive reasoning about what happened. Like, but I witnessed one of my greatest fears in life. I took Smudgy for a walk. It was very early in the morning. It was still dark out. There's a dog in the neighborhood, like a huge white pit bull that's probably as reactive, if not more so, than Smudgy. But he weighs 10 times as much as Smudgy. So like, truly, I haven't mentioned this before, but like our morning walk routes, like I base them purely on avoiding this fucking dog. Cause he's like lunged at Smudgy, and then Smudgy loses his shit, sort of understandably, because it's fucking scary. But then it's like, now it's chaos. And also, so again, Smudgy has his good days and his bad days, and he's mostly. Hey,
I relate to that, absolutely.
Same. Yeah. And he's mostly good, but like even if he was in a bad day, he weighs 13 pounds. Like I could just pick his ass up, you know, like and get out of there. So anyway, yesterday morning we went for a walk. I had slept in a tiny bit. So it was a little bit like, again, everything's like timed precisely to avoid certain things. And so it was a little bit later. So it was more likely that we would see this fucking dog. Oh, and the woman walking him is just fully being pulled the whole time. Like you could see her, like she has no control over the situation. And my heart goes out to her, but I'm like, I don't know if you should have this dog. I feel like you're in over your head, Bubba.
Absolutely.
And so we were walking down the street, and I heard sort of a kerfuffle behind us. And so
one of my favorite words, by the way.
Oh, thank you. So it was behind us and across the street. So we had like a nice good distance. And there was a neighbor woman just sort of standing there, screaming and crying and shouting in Spanish, like at something. And then I see
Was there an open window nearby? Because I know La ventana está abierto is the window is open in Spanish.
Yes. No, she was out on the street.
Did she know where her watch was? Because I know "Donde está mi reloj" means "Where's my watch?"
Yeah, no, I don't think it was about the watch. Again, this is where I'm piecing together the story.
¿Dónde está mi reloj? ¿Dónde está mi reloj?
Yeah, she was pretty upset about that watch. But again, so she's sitting there like screaming, crying.
Mm-hmm.
And I see the woman who owns the dog. Like, again, this is like, I'm looking behind and across the street and there's like cars parked. So and it's dark, but she's like kind of on the ground trying to break something up. And I was just like, I truly started shaking. Like, we had to get the fuck out of there. Cause I was like, thank God Smudgy hasn't caught wind of this and started freaking out and like made himself a part of this drama. So we just left. But I was like, I think I was witnessing this dog attacking a little dog. Like, right. I think something really bad went down. And
or it was eating that other woman's watch.
Right, probably. But I guess it really freaked me out because having a dog that's a little bit crazy, like I can see myself being either owner, and either way it's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
Like and I was so curious and I wanted to like see if that woman was okay. But again, I just needed to get Smudgy as far away from there as possible.
Right. Which I think is wise.
And I was proud of myself because it's something I'm working on. I think in the past, because I was like trembling. But I think in the past I would have been like either
go break it up, Smudgy.
No, I would have just been like, don't think about it, or or like some sort of compartmentalizing. But I was like, I was walking him, and we were far enough away that it was like a non-issue. That I was like, let's. I can't believe I'm telling you this, but I was like, let's feel it. And not think about feeling it, not intellectualize my feelings, but like, oh, my chest is tight. Oh, my stomach is like doing like, I don't know. From what I read, like you got to feel your fucking feelings. That's the only way to get through them. And so I did that. And I was proud of myself.
I've been avoiding that since 1973.
How is that working for you?
Not so great. Not so great, you know?
But yeah, and he had no idea. I will say we went on our late morning walk because I'm such a fucking snoop. I was like
looking for bloodstains on the sidewalk.
Yeah. We went to the scene of the crime and I was like, oh, those are blood stains. Like, yeah. oh no.
Yeah. But like now it seems like something needs to be done about that, you know?
Well, that's what's like fucked up is I don't know where the pit bull woman lives even. Like, because when you walk a dog, you're not necessarily in front of your house.
Oh, I never walk my dog in front of my house. I don't want anybody to know where I live.
Right. But so I don't know her deal. And I don't know this other neighbor woman who had the small dog. And I'm sure like that's a fucked up thing because probably it sounds like the small dog wasn't on a leash. She probably just like let him out to pee really quick, wasn't expecting a pit bull to come up.
Right.
Like it's like there's a lot of things that went wrong.
Now, here is my take on that. And I don't know a lot about dogs, but I know people who do know a lot about dogs. And the people who I know who know a lot about dogs would say that dog should be put down.
Mm.
That dog is a menace to other dogs and possibly to people as well. And I know that's like, you're not supposed to say stuff like that because dogs are basically children. We should all treat them like children, you know?
Right.
But that happened once.
Right.
Could easily happen again.
Or to a kid, or like.
Well, that's a whole other, but yeah, exactly. Like if that dog did that to a kid, it would be, I mean, if there was a baby who just went outside to piss, like,
But yeah, so my point in saying that though is like, I don't even have, like, that is.
You don't know how to do anything about it.
No, that's the entirety of the story. I don't know if both dogs were taken away. I don't know if the dog survived. Like, I don't have any details, and I don't know how to get them really without like knocking on doors and being like, hey, is your dog dead? Like, that's not a really great way to meet your neighbors.
This sounds like a good, like the beginning of a good movie about a dog serial killer, where you see this happen. You think you see a dog get murdered by
dog. It's like Rear Window kind of.
And then you go back and there's nothing there except bloodstains, and you're like, and then the cops are like, come on, Amber, this could be anything. Who knows what this is? Right. No, I saw this happen.
Right.
And then you have to solve the crime yourself.
Right.
You have to track it down,
But it also, I will say that it made me feel good about trusting my instincts. Because like Smudgy and I go on almost random walks, like going to Wilshire, like that's random, but it was because I used to walk in this certain path around my neighborhood, and I would run into that dog on some level.
But that's also fucked up because it's like, why should you have to like, what makes this dog so important that it gets to dominate the entire neighborhood like that?
But to this woman's credit, and again, I don't know where they live. Like, I've brought up this dog to Jeff multiple times, and he's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, she only walks him.
I fucking told you, this is a movie. You don't.
I made it all up.
It's a total fantasy on your part,
No, but she only walks him like very early in the morning, I think, to avoid to have the least encounters with people and dogs. Again, this is all my my narrative, but like, I've never seen her in the evening.
Look, if their dog is up at the same hour as my dog, then it's on them. It's not my fault if they get attacked.
Right. But it's all like, again, I think that's why it was so scary to me, because I could see myself in both owners of, like, because I could see somebody getting attacked very easily. He starts shit with people, and he's little, and he squeals like a rabbit. Rabbits don't squeal, but you know what I'm saying. I guess maybe they do.
I don't know. The ones I've seen say, "What's up, Doc?" and Happy Easter.
Okay, great. But I can also see him like, I don't know. It made me really want to not be the bad dog owner in the neighborhood. I'll put it that way. Like,
totally understandable.
What a nightmare. What a fucking nightmare. And Jeff when I told him the whole story, he was like, great. You're doing a great service. You're rescuing this dog that's troubled. Don't do it in Los Angeles in a highly populated neighborhood. Like, live on a fucking ranch in the middle of nowhere. Or be a dog expert. Like, it just feels like you're out of your depth, lady.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the same at all. But when I was a kid, we got a dog. We got an Irish setter where I was about 7, maybe.
And you didn't know you were allergic yet?
The dog, no, I wasn't allergic. I was never allergic till I moved to Los Angeles.
Whoa.
I was like in my late 30s.
It's like dog plus pollution or something?
I think so, yeah. It was something weird. No, I mean, I literally went to a house to see if I could house sit for like 6 months in Beverly Hills.
Hello.
It would have been an amazing setup.
And you're like, I gotta
there
get
was
out of here.
2 dogs there, and I immediately was like weeping and sneezing.
Oh my
And the
God.
owner of the house was like, because that was part of the deal, was you take care of the dogs. And I was like, I can do that. And she was like, are you allergic? And I was like, no.
I don't think
I've
so.
had dogs. We've never,
Yeah.
And then as soon as I left, it all cleared up. And I was like, oh, I guess I am all of a sudden allergic to dogs.
I guess that allergies come and
I
go.
I don't know how that
flow.
works. But then when I was, when I was in a relationship with somebody who had a dog, and
you kind of built up a tolerance to at least that dog.
No. My friend, another friend of mine was like, I have a doctor you can go to who can figure out your allergy, who can fix it for you.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have health insurance at the time, and I went to the doctor, and the doctor was like, yeah, let me just test you for allergies and we'll see. And
that'll be $1 million.
Basically, he tested me and he was like, yeah, you're allergic to dogs. That's $1,000.
You're like, oh, but you can't do anything for me.
I just came here because I knew I was allergic to dogs.
Cool.
But
you were saying.
Yeah, so this dog, Blarney Baru McCool, was the dog's name.
That's a great name.
And if you know Irish history and Gaelic, McCool is spelled McCumhail. It was like a famous Irish hero. But anyway, Blarney was just a puppy when we got him, and within 6 months, he was too big for me. And I was responsible for him, so I would take him out in the neighborhood, and he would just run me around. And
totally,
we had to get rid of him. Like, I used to go out and walk Blarney with the Blooms, who were the kids that lived down the street, Mark and Adam, and I used to go walk down by the lake with the dogs, and they had 2 dogs who were fine, and Blarney was like pulling me into the lake, basically, which, by the way, was a bottomless lake that Benny Salvatore's grandfather drowned in. So you weren't supposed to go anywhere near the lake because you could get sucked into the vortex in the middle.
Sure.
But we ended up getting rid of the dog because I couldn't handle it. We gave it away to somebody, a veterinarian who said, "I'm going to put it." No. We really did give it to somebody else.
You went to go live on a farm.
Yeah. Oh my God. But it was exactly that. It was like, if you can't handle the dog, stay out of the kitchen,
Well, and I guess that's what worries me is like, am I just not seeing it? And maybe I am that person as well.
Right. Could be.
But he's so little. I just scoop him up.
Right.
He's mad, but like, what is he going to do?
The other thing I would say is, if you're in one of those situations where a dog gets into it with another dog, and I know this because I was at lunch with my friend in Atwater Village, who's one of the people I know who knows a lot about dogs.
Okay.
These people, it's not funny. It's the same situation. It's very scary, where 2 dogs got into a fight on the sidewalk and they couldn't separate them. And she ran out there with glasses of water and was just pouring them on the dog.
Oh.
And it split the dogs up, and then the owners were able to get control of them.
I'd never heard that before, but that's honestly kind of good to know.
Yeah. So that's your tip for the week, folks. Always carry water when you're taking your wild dog for a walk.
Well, and that was the other thing. Then Jeff started speculating that Smudgy is a great dog, and he's only ever freaked out about that dog, and he hears that dog in like the distance when we don't, and he's like, fuck that dog sucks, and he's trying to protect us. Which I don't know if that's true, but it's a fun theory.
And part of the whole thing, if this dog actually exists, is that
right, it could be my imagination.
that were right to be nervous about this dog because it's out there fucking murdering other dogs. So this was not, I mean, again, if it exists, this was not just something you made up in your head. If it doesn't exist, then it is something you made up.
That's how it works, yeah. And that is my checking in. What's going on with you?
Well, I think we should just do parting shots.
You don't have anything?
I do, but it's way too long. I'll save it for next week.
Okay. You're never gonna remember.
I won't remember. You're right. but it's a really good one. So hopefully I will.
Just say it.
So this is my parting shot.
Okay.
I had a meeting today with somebody about a script.
Steven Spielberg.
Yes, I'm here to see Steven Spielberg. Sir, this is Steven Spielberg's office. Yes, that's who I'm here to see, Steven Spielberg. Hey, I'm Steven Spielberg. This is not what I expected. But it was funny. It was somebody who I used to teach writing to who wanted to talk to me about another thing. And so we talked for a long time, a couple hours. And then at the end of it all, he said, I'll never forget what you said to me in our final class meeting. We had, I always have a meeting with them one-on-one at the end of class. He goes, I'll never forget what you said. I said, so of course I was like, what did I say that you'll never forget? He's like, I asked you, is writing fun?
And you're like, no.
No, this is what happened. He goes, I said to you, is writing fun? And in this meeting, I just went, and he goes, that's exactly what you said in class. I was like, well, there you go. I don't know what that means, but that's the answer. So
you've got like a Cindy Lou Who thing going on with your That's incredible. It's like defying physics.
I barely have any left, but it still wants to get the fuck out of here. All right. So parting shots, Amber.
Yeah, I will say there's a lot I could talk about, but I guess the number one thing is I don't know if this is a girl thing or not, but like I go through color phases. Colors? Colors are gross?
No. Girl things are gross.
Oh. But I basically want to wear this sweater every single day. And I didn't do this on purpose. I swear to God. This is what I painted my nail. Like I'm like, oh, I'm going through something with this color.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked up sandwiches for lunch, not to brag. And as I was ordering, the woman was like, can I say that is your color? And I was like, oh no, like I'm already a monster. Like you don't need to help. So yeah,
I like to say no when somebody says that,
Can I say no? Please don't. Yeah. So that was that.
I already said it. So then why were you asking me permission?
Right.
Like that kind of discussion is always.
That's so fun. So charming.
Well, I just came in for sandwiches, please.
I went to City Walk twice this week.
Ugh, God.
I know. Both times for work.
Mm-hmm. It's right near your work, right?
No, it's nowhere near my work, and I don't
That's what I meant. It's nowhere near your work.
I mean, it's closer than the West Side. But I saw screenings of the 2 movies that are being released this year. And that was fun.
What movies?
Puss in Boots, The Last Wish.
Oh, boy.
It is so good. It is truly so fucking good. And I know that I'm a marketer and I'm marketing this company, but it truly is a very good movie. And I can't wait for you to see it. And then The Bad Guys, which is out in theaters now.
Is The Bad Guys also animation?
Yeah, that's the one with Mark Maron.
Oh, right. I mean, I'm saying that. I'm assuming Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is animation, but I actually have no idea.
No, but it was funny because it's a little bit early days for Puss in Boots, and so they did. The filmmakers had like an announcement first, and they were like, we've had good reception, blah, 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 but like we love getting notes. So like if you have any notes afterwards, like please give us notes. And
hello, my name is Steven Spielberg, and I have some notes.
Well, the guy sitting next to me was like, "Oh yeah, they love getting notes." And
who are you talking to, really?
And so as soon as it was over, and it was great, I really did like it a lot. That same guy was like, "So Amber, what are your notes?" And I was like, "Yeah, why is it a cat?" Like it's just like it's like the premise of the movie. Like,
how about Barky in Crocs?
But yeah, it's weird to go to City Walk multiple times in a week. It's very strange. It's strange to see coworkers because I don't
in real
see
life.
Them. Yeah. But it's fun, I guess. I don't know.
It's good to get out in the world and see people and interact with them and breathe their air and as long as you have pregnancy tests at home.
I saw our friend Jane last weekend, and I finally gave her a Christmas present the day before Easter. But I did it. So go me. But she was saying, and I thought it was really funny, that she was watching some like zombie movie. And she was like, yawn, like not scary. You can tell who's a zombie and who isn't a zombie. Like, try living this, motherfucker.
Yeah. Although one of the premises in zombie movies is there's always a couple of characters.
Like they cough or like,
Yeah, or they go, wait a second. Danny, take your shirt off. And then he lifts his shirt up and there's like a bite mark right there.
And then
they're like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
But I get what she's saying. She's not a, she knows what she's talking about.
She's funny. She's good. She's an Emmy winner, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and life is all about the validation of awards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that is my parting shot.
Folks, this has been The Long Shot. It is a podcast. You can follow us at Long Shot Podcast on Twitter. You can follow Amber at Amber_Kenny
on Twitter. No, I don't know. Yeah, on Twitter.
I am at Sean Conroy on Twitter, on Instagram, on Squarespace, on you name it. That MySpace.
I just remembered that there was so much I was going to talk about that I just didn't talk about, but whatever. It is what it is.
How about a teaser?
Okay. Naps are good. I just woke up from one. It feels very
Folks, tune in next week and find out the in-depth story of why naps are good.
No, okay. Can I say this really quickly? I know we're wrapping up, but I was in a Zoom work meeting and this guy was saying like how tired he was. And he was like, at lunch, I considered taking a nap. And I was like, do it. Like, what is stopping you? And he's like, I'd feel guilty. And maybe there's something wrong with me, but like, I'm not saying nap halfway through the workday, but if you have an hour lunch and you take a nap for 15 minutes of it, that's a not only valid, but good use of your time because you'll come back to work more productive and more present. And so like, I guess I'm trying to unpack, like, why do we feel bad about doing something that would take care of ourselves? Anyway.
Yeah, I think there's a whole thing where sleep equals weakness. Like if you sleep, it's because you're weak. Yeah, I look, I'm at this point, I nap almost every day.
Same. Now, if I like the day I went to the office, I was like, I'm exhausted. Oh, right. I didn't get my 20-minute lunch nap.
Right. And I'm not saying you have to be Rip Van Winkle.
No, even just 10 minutes. Yeah. Ooh, mwah, mwah, mwah.
Right. So,
anyway, naps are good.
Tune in next week and find out about naps here on...
No, I said it all. You know how ahead of time you're like, oh, this will be my park shot. This will be my checking in.
Ah, I see.
I was going to talk about naps and I completely forgot that that's what I was going to talk about.
Got it. Well, anyway, tune in next week to find out why naps are good according to Amber. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You said you're never gonna make it truly stick, and that turned out true, but what can you do? It turned out true, but what can you do? It turned out true, but what can you do? Let's think. Rebuild the mainframe. You can drink a bunch of stuff without referencing a brand name. You can empty your heart, refill it with aspartame, wait a couple years and do the same thing again. And sure, I could be famouser, but I could be aimlesser. And in the grand scheme, certain things could be painlesser. But anyone can wonder why they do what they do to begin with. Well, believe it or not, I keep sipping out of cans. They say cans give you cancer, but so do certain plants and certain stances. In some places, certain dances give you cancer, so I keep sipping out of